So for the last 24, 48 hours, Westminster has been awash with discussions about who is behind these attempts to contact MPs and solicit explicit pictures from them. This person sometimes went by the name of Abby, sometimes Charlie. And so I spoke to lots of people who had been approached, some people who blocked the sender immediately, others who engaged for a short time, and then when the messages turned explicit, then decided to walk away, and a few of those who did decide to engage, and in two cases, did send pictures of themselves back to this individual. And in the course of the investigation, which of course was started by Politico when they revealed the extent of this honeytrap network, I spoke to lots of victims who started to think that there was some involvement by the Conservative MP Wragg, who's the MP for Hazel Grove. And after building up several sort of cases, I approached Wragg on Thursday afternoon and put to him what we'd heard, and he confessed to having been involved in this in some way. Now, he says that he provided phone numbers for MPs, including ministers, to an individual that he met on a gay dating app known as Grindr, and that he met this individual, started chatting, he exchanged some pictures with him as well, so sent him explicit pictures, and it was at that point that the individual then started asking for other MPs' numbers, trying to get this information out of him. And William says that because he had already sort of engaged and given this individual what he described as compromising photos, he feared that they could be used against him unless he complied. Mr. Wragg was very remorseful, very down. I think he had felt isolated and shamed of what he'd done, and felt like he didn't feel able to speak to other people about this. Others felt the same, even the victims. They didn't raise concerns with the party whips because I think they were embarrassed about having had these approaches. And so William Wragg was, remorseful. He said he was really sorry. He completely acknowledged the pain and the suffering that he'd caused to colleagues, but it's not quite clear whether that apology is going to be enough, because there are those who sent images back to this person and they don't know where those pictures have gone now and who has their hands on them. Parliament is obviously in recess, so Mr. Wragg is spending the sort of remaining time he has kind of collecting his thoughts and trying to figure out his next steps. But as we understand it, he's not going to lose the Conservative whip. He is already planning to stand down at the next general election, and so he will probably sort of bide his time until the election and then stand down. It has the potential to be very damaging. Obviously, Rishi Sunak had sought to try and show he had removed or cleaned up all of the sleaze scandals that seemed to bug his predecessors, and this is certainly one in a sort of long line of troubling issues which people will point to and say the Conservative Party hasn't managed to put those days behind them. Clearly, the fact that the Conservative Party is allowing William Wragg to retain the whip, i.e. sit as a Conservative MP, suggests they plan to stand by him, and it will also allow them to offer pastoral support to him as well. But there are investigations going on. The police in Leicestershire have announced they're looking into a complaint of malicious communication, I believe, by an MP from that region who was one of the targets. And once that police investigation concludes, it's possible that there will be further consequences, including a possible investigation by the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner, who can investigate MPs for doing things like bringing Parliament into disrepute. I think the public will feel disappointed and let down. They obviously have high standards of politicians, and again, they've seen such a slew of sleaze scandals over the years that this might not come as much of a surprise. It has to be said that friends of William Wragg are very surprised by this. He's somebody who's positioned himself as a sort of scrutineer and been a vocal critic of those who fail to uphold the sort of high standards expected of those in public office. So I think he feels like he's let himself down massively, and those around him feel the same. In terms of what happens next, well, the sort of one piece of the jigsaw has been discovered, which is how this scammer, for want of a better word, or honey trapper, found the numbers for all these senior MPs, including ministers. But the bigger question remains of who the person was that was contacting these MPs and trying to solicit this private, sensitive information from them. That is where the next question lies for this story.